everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to what is not a live feed update nor a daily drop update. But because we have no daily drops, we've got some other content for you. I'm, of course, your host, Taran Armstrong, but joining me today is the queen herself.
Queen's coming to get what's hers.
Taylor Hale. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm great, Taran. I love that audio. Did it win the audio?
It did. It won the soundbite tournament. Yeah.
I'm proud of that one. That's a good one.
You're in the prestigious company with...
I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
Who was that?
That was Kevin Jacobs.
You know, choices were made, words were said. Kevin, I love you. I don't know about that one, though.
Oh, boy. Well, Taylor is here with me just to, we're going to just talk about, first of all, check in with Taylor, see how she's doing, but also just, chat about the lack of live feeds and what the live feeds mean to Taylor and to the fan base, and just have a discussion about it, get Taylor's thoughts on it as probably the person most qualified to talk about it right now, I would say. So let's just get into it. Taylor, how have things been?
Things have been good. Life's been crazy. I saw somebody posted the other day that it was the 6-month anniversary of finale night. So it's crazy to look around and see what's left and see my bank account is still in good shape. No qualms there.
You haven't spent it all yet.
Yeah, no, not yet. I paid the taxes immediately. So I'm feeling real good in that department. But
you've done your taxes? Because let me tell you, I'm still I got to do mine.
Get that TurboTax up, send it in. I know evil corporation, but I'd rather you get it done and submit it than have anybody knocking on your door. You got the IRS and it's like, oh, someone sent you $5? Give that to me. You don't.
Is it tough winning a big? It's tough for me because of my work, which is weird. But is the prize money? Is it easy because it's just one big chunk, or is it hard?
It's easy because it's one big chunk, but it's hard because it's one big chunk. Yeah. $1,000 immediately. The California taxes said, "Well, how much was that AFP?" That's mine. I'll break it down. I got my big brother check, and immediately $50K was taken out. So thank you to the state of California, and thank you for everyone who voted for me because you paid the taxes for me.
You paid the taxes on Taylor's win. Yeah, there you go. Have you found like a sense of normalcy yet? I know that a lot of people, they get out and then it's just kind of like chaos roller coaster for a while. Have things gotten to any kind of stability?
Oh, I mean, what does stability mean anymore? The short answer is yes. Like I don't walk out on the street and have 10 people coming up to me anymore, but I walk out on the street and I have 5 people coming up to me. So you get used to it in some capacities. I think the pageant world kind of trained me for it because when I had the sash and the crown on, I was used to drawing attention and handling people. So I guess I was the best equipped for this world. But even now, I got my hair done this morning, and the girl next to me, once she got her hair finished, was like, "I just want to let you know, I was freaking out when you walked in, and I love the show. You're rooting for you." Da, 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 da. So I don't know. It makes me happy to realize how easy it is to make somebody else's day just by being present. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. How have things been with the fans? Because the fans can be intense, good and bad. 6 months out now, like how is it feeling?
It depends on what platform I'm on, I realize. I think also people go back to their real lives. People are very used to dedicating time to Big Brother and then going back. So when people go back to their lives, when they leave the Big Brother realm, a lot of the things that are left are either the really dedicated and kind fans, and then you kind of get like the dregs, where it's just extreme trolls. So I'm definitely finding new ways to work and maneuver it. There's a lot of pressure to be, to answer to fans, to be every expectation of what they want me to be or believe I should be. But at the end of this, I won the game because, one, I know how to maneuver a social game. Period. Just one. That's it. There's no two. I think now it's just a matter of communicating. Okay, there once was a time where everybody knew what was happening around me better than I knew because you saw it.
Mm.
Live feeds. But now, in this world where you don't know what's happening, I'm sitting in my room and there's no cameras around. You don't know what happened before I got on this call. People just have to get used to, I would hope, and I ask people get used to letting me live my life and making decisions and choices that I see best fit for me. And I just had a little astrology call that said I'm doing the right thing. So, you don't believe the stars.
There you go. I mean, obviously, it was quite the ride during your season as well. How has everything gone with like the cast and how you feel about everything that happened? Do you feel like you've been able to process a lot of it, or does it still kind of feel like something that you're dealing with?
Oh, well, the answer's both, right? So
Hmm.
I don't think I will ever not be dealing with the
Hmm.
experience. And that can mean a bunch of different things. It could be in the best way or in the worst way. And I have really good days and I have really rough days because I'm a human being. Spoiler alert, shocker, I know. But as for my personal relationships with different members of the cast, of course, across the scale, it varies. I did go back and watch the live feeds of the first 3 weeks in its entirety. I like to be fully informed. So, I might have varying opinions on different people from my cast, but what I don't want is people to hold on to that anger and vitriol and not dispose of it, but disperse it on my behalf. Like, there's just no point. And there's no point in bullying other people in my name. There's no point in attacking other people in my name. Like, let me move. Let me just move accordingly. And if you're a fan of mine, or if you're a supporter of mine in any way, I would much rather people support the things that I'm pursuing instead of dragging other people down. Like, they've got their own demons to deal with, and that's on them. It's not my responsibility. It's not my supporters' responsibility. So, I'm again trying to find the way to navigate how to communicate that with people, but also not let that be what defines my existence on the internet, what defines me as a public figure, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's a lot of responsibility, but I asked to be the representation of the season. I said it. I challenged people to let me be the representative of the season and what Big Brother can be. So that's a responsibility that I have to carry, and I asked for it.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel a responsibility for the fans of yours? I guess because I think this is something that I mean, I think it's relevant to the topic of the live feeds, as well as something that I think a lot of people deal with, which is that like how responsible are you for the people that are going out and doing things in your name, right? Uh, like, how do you deal with that?
That's the question. I
Yeah.
deal with it by living as a human being. I deal with it by letting people follow my lead. I deal with it by speaking out when necessary. And I've said multiple times on my personal lives, public lives, private lives, Twitter, Instagram, I've said this everywhere, interviews, exactly what I just said. I can't keep beating the dead horse. Some fans or supporters or even like covert fans, people that take up causes in my name but really don't actually care about me or my
Mm.
causes or anything like that. I can't fully be responsible for every single action. Legally, I'm not responsible for every single action. So I'm doing the best that I can to just spread good energy, good vibes, encourage kindness. I don't like nice people, but I try to encourage kindness. There's a distinct difference.
Mm.
And, some days I might feel personally in the morning when I wake up like I have to make this statement and it's my responsibility. And other days, you know what I do? I touch grass. I touch grass other days. And I remember that speaking isn't always going to be the way that people will take my word.
Mhm.
Especially again, I come from an environment where people are used to knowing better than me, right? So it's very easy to brush me off like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She hasn't seen everything. We know what's best. So instead of fighting, it's like same side of the magnet, just pushing against each other. I'm
Mhm.
just trying to live and let other people follow and experience the other things I'm pursuing. And hopefully they'll come along with me.
I don't think anybody should be surprised that you have like excellent answers for all of these very complicated questions. I just love hearing you.
Oh, isn't that crazy? Wow.
Okay, so let's talk about the live feeds, because I think a lot of people, when they heard that Big Brother Canada was going to cancel their live feeds, um, I think you were the first thought on a lot of people's minds of like, we just went through just a few months ago a season where the live feeds were so vital to not only the experience of watching the show, but to the sort of like understanding of what was actually happening in that house, and the understanding of specifically what was happening with you. Um, and there were many times during that season where we're like, thank God we have the live feeds, because what would this be if we didn't? And you recently tweeted saying like that, you know, your stomach drops thinking about those people in the house without live feeds. Can you just elaborate on that? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
You know, it's actually, I was talking to Joseph about this. I tweeted that out. I remember I put my phone down and I planned to just put my phone on do not disturb, not think about it. I don't know, watch the housewives or something, do something completely unrelated. Because when my brain really starts to process my experience in the Big Brother house, I think about what would it have been like if people hadn't seen everything, and not just what would the show have been like, but what would have been like when I left the house, knowing even the limited information I had, but still feeling very off. If I left the house those first few weeks, or even later in the game and there weren't any feeds, I know, because I know how the internet works, I know that the conversation would have been, oh, well, there's no way that 15 other people could get a bad vibe from her.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that she didn't rub people the wrong way. All those people in there that we like because we saw what was shown to us, well, not live feeds in this hypothetical. And it makes me sick to my stomach because nobody deserves to have an experience in the Big Brother house where the experience is warped, shifted, or hidden. If that happened to me, my healing process wouldn't be where it is today, which is still a process. Even with the accolades, the money, and everything, it's still a healing process. Let's be very frank about that. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to inspire hate targeted anything towards anybody or any entity. But had I not have had the live feeds, that would have been a much more traumatic experience coming out of the house, because my existence, my sanity, the world that I lived in would have been completely invalidated. And I said Joseph earlier because when I had that conversation with him, he said, I know exactly how you feel because that's what happened with me at Direfest. And that gutted me because obviously 2 different experiences. What I went through was on like a level 10. His was like a level 5, let's say, hypothetically. But to know how alone and isolating and invalidating it is to live that experience, he always has to defend actions, decisions, moves, moments that happened because the live feeds were not fully there to show what he was experiencing. I know so much more about his experience in Direfest, and that's why I've never watched those episodes. I can watch the worst of the worst happening to me. I can't watch it happening to anybody else, especially somebody that I care about so much. So, you know, when I think about the people living in the BB house, especially hearing people are leaving, there's these odd targeted attacks in bizarre ways. I am glad, I suppose, to hear that it doesn't sound like everyone's ganging up on one person, or maybe before this week that wasn't the case. What if it's happening right now? And you and I are on this live stream, and someone is alone in a bathroom crying, not because they're weak, but because they know that there is something very bad happening around them. And when they leave the house, they're not going to get the empathy that they deserve.
Yeah. And I think that there's this idea that one of the reasons why they're canceling the live feeds is they're trying to avoid controversy, right? Like they're trying to they want to be able to sort of smooth over some of the rougher edges that we get on Big Brother that, either are they're able to like sort of safely play up on other shows where there's no live feeds or just kind of entirely gloss over. And yeah, maybe there's like rumors and like, behind the scenes stories about it, but um they don't tend to make, headlines as much. And so, oh, well, look, they're just trying to avoid this controversy. But like the thing about that is that by avoiding controversy, you are not showing these actions that might be taking place. And by not showing those things, you might just think, oh, well, they're just protecting their own image. They're protecting the image of the people who are doing these actions. But you're not talking about the damage that you're doing to the people on the receiving end of those actions. Because by not showing those things, you are silencing them and invalidating their experience of it and forcing them to come out and have to advocate for themselves about with what happened if they want to take up that fight at all. And like that is like the real damage that I think is done when you do something that you could like easily classify as just like avoiding controversy, just like whatever. y- you're not just avoiding something, you're actively doing damage.
Yeah, I think it's also the question of who is worth protecting and for what.
Mhm.
Why are we hiding bad behavior potentially? I won't even say like actual bad behavior. Why are we hiding the potential of bad behavior? Is it for what is the point of Big Brother? There's no closing Pandora's box. You don't shove a can of worms back in the can. The can's busted wide open. Big Brother has been on in Canada for what, 10 years now? 24 seasons, almost 25 in the US and globally, who knows? You can't undo what's already been done. We have plenty of other reality shows where we understand that there is a narrative, there's a storyline. But when I was going through the casting process for Big Brother, and people know I was recruited from a handful of other reality shows at the same time, what made me feel comfortable with Big Brother was the fact that live feeds are there. That was always my safety net. Not even knowing what was going to happen on my season. The live feeds were always my safety net when I went through the process, when I said no to other TV shows. Because the worst of me, I feel comfortable with people seeing. And y'all saw me in some pretty rough positions. And the best of me, thank God, got to shine. When we look at what Canada has done, you are harming people who are on the receiving end. You're also damaging people, or I'll say damaging or manipulating or deceiving people who think they have a lifeline to connect with people in the outside world. I think I saw a little clip of someone who's in the house, a mom. I apologize, everybody. I'm not watching Canada. It's like a little too soon for me to dive back in.
Yes, this is not an analysis of the season. This is an analysis of the decision for live feeds more than anything else.
But I did see someone who was talking to the camera, and it looked like they were trying to communicate with their child. Those few moments when I would talk to the camera to talk to my family, when I'd give a song shout out to someone that I knew was watching or hope would watch or hope that a fan would clip and send to my family or friends online, that gives you sanity when you are trapped away from the outside world. Knowing that you can communicate. I know we get a lot of shit for this, but I know like people do shout outs on the live show. It's because it's the one moment that you know the person that you love is watching and you can talk to them. So I know it's fun to bitch and complain, but I will never complain about that because I know how much it means to people.
Mm-hmm.
If as an organization, I won't say they are taking that away from the house guests. It's Machiavellian, it's evil. Point blank, period.
Yeah. And I mean, for me at least, the fact that they cited mental health as the reason why they were taking the feeds away was like particularly just a
Just
twist of
lie.
no.
Just lie at
Yeah.
that point. Just say we had budget cuts. Say we can't pay the people who are operating cameras, even though those cameras are already mounted in that house the whole time. Like, mental health. Whose mental health? Or do you, as an entity, as an organization, you just don't want to have to deal with online backlash?
Mm-hmm.
Please be serious. This is not going to make people want to watch the show. It's not going to make people want to be on the show. What is the benefit here? Because I'm not seeing any. And especially I saw digital dailies got canceled now for a handful of days because there's some crazy targeted
Scandal.
scandal.
Yeah.
One, it's entertaining. I will say that point blank. It is entertaining to watch this stuff play out. Even if I'm not a live feeder, I can have access to the stuff and watch it back. It's entertaining. Two, context helps color the show when it's on TV. Three, my God, what is happening in that house? Who is in pain? Who is the perpetrator? And is it going to be spun to be fun? Is it just drama at the end of this? The drama that happens on Big Brother is more engaging than other reality shows because at the core of the show, this is a social experiment. This isn't a game for love. This isn't a game for internet cloud, even though I guess that's what people can get out of it. This is a game to examine social interactions, social relationships. That includes examining the worst of the interactions and understanding what that means when we apply it to our larger society. Please be serious.
Yeah. And, I don't think live feeds are perfect. There are certainly some downsides to it. Embarrassing screenshots of you probably exist all over the place, right?
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. I'm like, oh man, I'd have I'd have the worst images of me picking my nose. I'd be like, oh no,
Scratching your butt, it's
right?
all.
Yeah, and as you talked about, it does, I think, sort of tend to create a perception in the audience of some of the audience with this sort of parasocial relationship that will form more so than maybe other shows because you have such a deeper connection. You spent more time in it. And so you do feel more like you know the person, more like you're involved in the person's life. But that said, those things all exist in other reality shows as well, to at least close to the same extreme, if not more. And the level of fervor that reality TV fans have about contestants on, say, The Bachelor or Love Island or whatever show,
The real
those yeah, those are intense fan bases. And those are shows that also have a long history of mental health issues with their contestants. Nothing to do with live feeds. In fact, if anything, more to do with the lack of control that the contestants have over their own narrative. A lot of contestants on other reality shows mention that one of the worst parts of being on a show like that is going on to the show and having no idea the level to which they can edit you into something else. And then once they come out and they see it happening on TV, they're mortified. And I recently read a book, the Bachelor Nation book about The Bachelor.
yeah, I read
And
that.
she talks a lot about a lot of contestants and how this is a major thing for them that, the show is just editing for the sake of entertainment, right? They're just trying to get the most out of any given situation. And they can completely fabricate entire situations out of whole cloth and are not afraid to do so. And that is, in some people's minds at least, the most damaging part of being on the show is not being able to be seen for yourself and what actually happened. I know for myself, as a content creator, as a podcaster, the thing that gets under my skin the most by far isn't when people criticize me for a thing that I said or did. It's when people lie about what I said or did and
When it's right
make
there.
something up. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's not what I said or did. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you put all your own content out there and people still misconstrue it. It is, and again, look, I'm an internet girly. Like I feel like I spoke the language of people who love TV because I love TV while I was in the house. So like I know how we engage. I know social media. I know what conversations happen. I have my pulse, my finger on the pulse. I always have. When you take away the agency to tell a story or have someone people, geez, that coffee's killing me. When you take away the agency to have people see a story as it exists, you are giving people the power to manipulate and cause harm based on what is presented to you. And you know what I will say, having watched as many episodes as I have of my own season of Big Brother, I really respect, and again, sometimes I wish I wasn't saying this as a winner because it seems very clouded and angled. But I do respect the production team for still trying to show people in a positive light. I do. Because at the end of this, hopefully, the theory is that people will try to become better human beings after this. And you don't want to put out a product that is going to continuously harm somebody. Mm-hmm. Do I wish that more was shown of the treatment of me before week 3? Yes. But I do appreciate that the show still tried to show people that these are multifaceted human beings, that the casting team put people on the show because they saw the good parts of them, not because they were shown the worst parts of them, right? Now, what's very frustrating is knowing that even with live feeds existing, or digital dailies as you want to call them, which is a whole conversation we will get to, okay? Live feeds exist. Big Brother exists because of the concept. Unedited as much as possible so that people can see and interpret and extrapolate onto their own lives what is happening. It's infuriating to see, knowing how the internet works, knowing how people online react. It's infuriating to see that it is tempting to take that away and let people who are consuming this product manipulate in their own right, which isn't their right at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure that not every contestant that's been on the show would agree. I think a lot of people have had what they would classify as negative experience with live feeds, whether that's because of, the lack of privacy or maybe they perceive that they did receive more backlash or more intensity because of the live feeds. As I said, they're not perfect by any means. I mean, I think the concept of the show itself is not perfect by any means. There are a lot of downsides to it, including mental health, regardless of whether there are live feeds or not. And that's a whole other conversation. But I do genuinely feel that that the live feeds existing create a better environment than pretty much any other reality show, at least of this nature. Maybe Bake Off is great. I don't know, but
toxic stuff going over on the Bake Off, Taran. Gotta get into it. Learn your Bake Off lore.
I do know that in my experience, doing deep dives with players, multiple players have told me how cathartic the experience is to sit down with somebody who understood their journey from start to finish, who was able to see everything that was going on. And that's not unique to me. That's the people who are watching the live feeds. And to have that there, whether it was like they loved you or it was like, here's a critique of your game based on this, just the fact that there was an understanding this person was actually seen and it wasn't just this made up version that was on the edit, can be very, I think, comforting in a way that again just doesn't exist in other shows. And that's on top of like everything else that comes with the live feeds and the uniqueness of the show and how it functions and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's again, that's the frustration with the explanation that it's like this is for the mental health of the contestants. It's like
Get it.
you're either just making that up because I mean, listen, this was my response to it when I heard it. My response was that this is code for you guys are too toxic. You go after people too much for bad behavior. We're not going to we're not going to let you do that anymore. And that's certainly how a lot of people in the fan base took it, for good or bad, because a lot of people are like, ha, you guys deserve it after what you do to, say, the Kyles of the world, or in Big Brother Canada's case, the Kyles of the world.
What?
That like, hey, you guys, you can't control yourselves. You go too hard, and now you're paying the price. You're too toxic, and we even had the first person evicted from the house came out and was like, yeah, I was talking to production, and they said you guys were too toxic, and that maybe it's your fault that the live feeds aren't here anymore.
Please,
And
I gotta stop. I gotta stop you there. How is it? And I know my name keeps percolating on the interwebs and everything for this exact reason. How was the takeaway from watching the live feeds of Big Brother season 24? Oh, you know what we'll do up here in the north? Cut the feed. How is that the takeaway? How is that the takeaway? Let's just look at this from a macro perspective, right? Let's pretend like I'm not Taylor Hale, even though my name's right there. Let's look at what my world, my trajectory, what the conversation was while I was on the show. From a business perspective, however you want to talk about this. I am trending damn near every day on the Bird app. The conversations that are happening are not targeted specifically against other house guests, but they are larger conversations about how we treat people, why we treat them this way, what are the social implications of what we are watching right now. So, okay, we're having important social conversations. For the business, it's looking pretty good. You have national snack brands fighting over me while I'm in the house. Like, still, like, I mean, you know, Skippy is trying new concepts, putting peanut butter on top of Lay's chips. I didn't see that until a few days ago, but that happened while I was in the house. So your name as a brand is being engaged over and over. Because your live feeds are turned on, people are having a conversation centered around me, but I don't get this opportunity without Big Brother. And if we want to talk about mental health, the conversation was always about how do we defend and protect Taylor's mental health because of the way the people in the house are treating her. How do you see all of that happening? And again, not to mention all the like national news media and coverage and everything, for reasons they probably didn't want, but still. How do you see all of that happening and go up to the north and say, you know what? We're going to punish fans of this show because they're the toxic ones. Those are the people that are toxic. Those are the people that are dangerous for our brand, Big Brother Canada. Dangerous for your brand. CBS just had me at the Grammys. Please be serious. And again, it is a mutually beneficial relationship that I am lucky enough to have now because of this opportunity, because of the place I was put in, because of how I reacted to it. And what generated from it all benefits at the end, Big Brother US. How are you going to turn away from that as a Canadian organization? How are you going to reject that and push blame onto fans of this concept that is supposed to teach us so much more? You don't blame fans for breeding toxicity. You encourage robust conversations about what toxicity is happening in the house. And as a brand, you find a way to run with that. You know what they could be doing? They could be putting out slides on Instagram. How to avoid groupthink. What did we just see in the house? Anti-racism slides. sexism slides, misogyny slides. Talk about that. Encourage the conversation instead of slapping the fans across the face, disrespecting your fan base, and discouraging them from wanting to engage with your platform. I need someone to wake up at the wheel.
Well, as you mentioned, their sort of I guess sort of consolation prize or way to sort of I don't really know what the intent here is.
More money?
Yeah, right. Mostly because I don't really know the real reason behind the live feeds being canceled, but like we have these digital dailies, which they're called digital dailies because that's like a term in like the film industry, but like but they're not daily, so like you shouldn't call them daily.
You know.
Ostensibly, these should be a sort of curated version of the feeds, right? That like, okay, if their aim is to avoid controversy, then they're just going to release this on a day delay and make sure that they cut out whatever is going on that they don't want to be shown, and then we'll give them whatever. But what we've gotten is like a very sort of like sloppily put together. Like there are still cuts in the middle of conversations that are like where like the audio is in the wrong place, and like it's like they're just like doing this live to tape and then just releasing it.
Not Big Brother 24 finale Q&A portion. No. Not the
and we're like, I mean, the most famous example so far is that I think it was in the second drop. It might have been the first or second drop. There's like an hour of somebody vacuuming in this 2.5 hour thing, right?
They're only
like
2.5 hours?
At best. At worst, they're like an hour.
I watch your episodes that are longer than an hour. I vacuum for longer than an hour. My dishwasher takes longer than an hour. Vanessa vacuuming. That's what everyone is saying.
Yep.
Oh my God. Can she at least
I think
Vanessa. My God. Someone help Vanessa out. I want a Maytag or a Dyson vacuum to sponsor her. Someone help her out.
I think unfortunately at this point she's spent more time vacuuming on the daily drops than anything else on the daily drops or the show itself.
Okay, here's a very small but mighty comparison. On the episodes, you actually talked about this. On the live feeds, you could see my one strong week of social strategy. Where I was really driving to make sure that Michael went out during the double eviction. You could see the beginning of the conversation when I started planting the seed. You could see me slowly but slyly reinforcing it. We watched the episode, and it is, the guys are making an alliance. And then it cuts to the double eviction in live time. I know what it's like to have your strategy, your experience, your emphasis, your seeds that you play in the game removed. But luckily, it was shown on the live feed because you can't hide shit on a live feed. Even if you do want to hide something on the live feed, you know how that happens? Someone starts a conversation and then the feed will go somewhere else. But people know the beginning of that conversation. Someone, her name is Vanessa, you're saying?
Yes.
Vanessa had whatever contributions that she made to this game replaced by pushing a cleaning appliance around a shared house.
Yeah.
Are you not embarrassed? Are you not humiliated? I'm not talking about Vanessa. I'm talking about Big Brother Canada. And let's really analyze that, right? Somebody had to go through that and approve it. Somebody else had to watch this. Someone had to clip it and say, we're putting it in here. Somebody else had to watch the digital daily and approve it. multiple people said yes. Let this woman vacuuming a shared house, like everybody else's maid, go out to the public. And the reason why she showed up to play this game, completely cut out.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's just wild. And it's even more sort of, again, sort of confusing that like they've now canceled the daily drops for the rest of the week. So the last 3 days we haven't gotten anything. And like it's gotten to the point where we were like, oh, we discovered that Vanessa seems to have left the house. We discovered that on Tuesday. That must be why we're not getting any daily drops anymore. But no, that actually wasn't. There's an additional reason why that we don't have them, and that's because of these two guys who are trying to get Hope ejected from the game because of a letter that I think he may have passed Ty. And it's just like, what, like,
Wait, they can write okay, wait. I need you to explain this. I need you to
okay.
to deep dive this for me. So,
unfortunately, there's not a lot to deep dive because we don't know a lot.
Is writing letters illegal like it is in US, or can they do that in Canada?
I mean, I assume that I assume that the reason you're not allowed to write a letter to somebody is because they don't want, information to be passed that they're not privy to. But I don't think that like any letter would get him ejected from the game. I assume that Ty feels like whatever he wrote in the letter is worthy of him being ejected from the game. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just delusional and he thinks that it's like it'll get him a penalty nom or something. I don't know. But in the episode, we see Hope shake Ty's hand and like kind of do one of those like handing him a thing. Well, let me tell you.
Thanks so much, homie. You got it?
There is a conspiracy theory, one that I don't believe, but there is a conspiracy theory that he either passed drugs or was asking for drugs because he said something about like, what was the line?
Okay,
I don't remember.
Let's go through that real quick. No, I have to let's break that down. Let's be very honest. Do you know what it would take to sneak drugs?
Right?
Do you know what it would take to sneak drugs in the Big Brother house? You would literally have to be like and I'm sorry, I'm just doing stereotypes, but like you'd have to smuggle it up your butt, like if like you're going to jail or something. Like this is clearly a rumor because there's no way.
Yeah, this is what happens when you take away the live feeds. People go wild.
To be real honest too. Also, the house guests, to my knowledge, they don't know that the live feeds are not 24/7. So let's pretend like they did smuggle drugs into the house on what they believe is a 24/7 show. Where are you gonna go alone to do said drugs? In the DR? Please be serious. Okay. You were saying, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, so that's out there. But they mention a letter. And so you see him doing like a pass off. Ty says, "What is this?" And Hope says, "Nothing, broski. Don't worry about it."
Wait, okay, all right. So I need both of them on the block and go home one by one. Being stupid and stupider. How are you going to receive secret information and say out loud, "Hey, what is this?" Learn how to play a game. Oh, wow. Are they both comp beasts? Please tell me.
Well, Hope had just won the veto. He had been talking about wanting to quit. And
I did
because
hear
he wanted to win comps. He finally won a comp. So now he's like, actually, that was a lie. I never wanted to quit. I'm actually totally here to play now. And Ty, his closest allies, is about to go on the block at this point in Zach. And Ty and Zach are kind of like the two men who are saying things like,
if a male player had done what Santana had done the last few days, we wouldn't even be entertaining this.
because she was sad about being on the block.
Taran. It feels like some people watched BB24 and said, "You know what? I'm going to take notes." Oh, from Taylor's gameplay? No. Oh, well, who else was a social player? Like a Joseph or Who else really played a social game? No. You know who I'm gonna take notes from? Specifically, what moment? I don't know. I can't think of what good social player played a social game. Bathtub scene. Let's take notes.
Hey, one jury vote, you know? Not nothing.
For the boys! For the boys! Cheers for the boys.
So yeah, so Ty and Zach. Ty gets past this note or letter, presumably. It becomes clear Hope has the veto. He's on the block. Hope's going to use it on himself. So Ty is telling Hope, "You want to quit? Do what I tell you to do with the veto. Then use it on Santina instead. Don't use it on yourself." And then when Ty finds out that Zach's going on the block, his ally, he presses harder. He's like, "All right, I'm really going to need you to not use the veto on yourself." And Hope was like, "No, I actually want to be here now." And that's when they start saying, Ty says, "I've got something on this guy that can get him ejected." And Zach says, "The letter?" And then we cut away and they say,
"Who will be left standing after a scandal rocks the house? Find out the shocking truth."
When does this episode come on? Is it tonight?
Yeah.
I might actually have to watch this. This is, at least it's juicy. At least it's juicy.
And because it is juicy. The sad part about all of this is that Kuzi, the current HOH, who is like
the one that
right now,
that actually got applauded for it. Oh yeah, that for her, girl. I'm glad she got what's hers. Come on, sister.
She's having like an all-time week right now. She's the one taking the shot at Zach and you know, quoting Godfrey.
Like the great Godfrey said, "I want that blood on my hands."
Like she's having a great, like if we had the feeds, if we were able to watch this go down, like this would be an all-time week. And you know, even then, like the episodes this week have been much better than the previous two, mostly because you have players like Kuzi creating great content for you. But unfortunately, the thing we're talking about is all of the scandal and like what the lack of, you know, information that we have and all of this stuff. And it's just like it's just another reason to feel for the players right now.
Yeah. I wonder, I know the answer. If we had the feeds, my God, it's so juicy. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of salivating right now and I love it. Well, no, I love good TV, even though you hate when I said it. But if the feeds were there, the way we would be, lack of a better term, fed right now, like the plate would be full and I'd be getting seconds and thirds and fourths. It's a shame. I want to give Kuzi her props. I want to enjoy the mess that's happening. I want to, let's pretend like it's, you know, with a less heavy topic, the week when all the scandal with Kyle from my season was happening. If the feeds are cutting in and out, I want that live conversation to participate in as a community, to complain about the feeds cutting out, to tell people when the feeds are on, to try to piece things together as they're happening in real time. That's the beauty of the way this game can be received and consumed. It is a shame that I have to say, okay, well, what time am I going to sit down and watch this in a streaming era world where I have to buy a VPN? Like,
yeah, like when are we going to get the 10 minutes of this that they're going to show us, minus all of the important stuff that might be a little too racy for TV?
I want the 4-camera vision. I want the entire house's reaction in real time. Do you know how badly, again, lighter topic, but do you know how badly I wish I could experience a moment like the Daniel blow up when that was happening on 4 cameras in real time? You can't make shit like that up. This is like, I'm sad. I am sad for the people in the house because it makes me wonder about the show. Is Kuzi, did she have the potential of being a Big Brother icon, and is that being taken away from her? Is this scandal the potential of one of the greatest scandals in Big Brother North America or Big Brother Canada history of all time, and that's being taken away from us, and it's being taken away from the players as well? Because maybe this could be a fun scandal where you don't have the most toxic of the toxic harming someone on a personal level. You just have two players playing a game and creating a scandal that is fun to consume. We like likable villains. We like likable scandals. Like, I feel like my lips got bigger because it's so juicy. I'm like, oh, I want to bite. Like, why take this away from us? Why rob yourselves, Big Brother Canada, of this? This is when it's good. This is when the show is good and you are diluting and draining and sucking the life out of all of it. Sad.
Very sad. Well,
what happens? I mean, I guess we'll see since no one knows. So what happens with Kuzi's HOH? You said someone already went home this week.
Yes, so somebody already went home. She already had to rename a replacement for the person that left.
So the person was already on the block.
Yes, Vanessa was on the block. She left the game, and then Kuzi had to nominate Hope, who then won the veto, and then used it on himself. And so then she nominated Zach last night. And so now Zach and Ty's last ditch effort is to try and get Hope either ejected or penalty nommed or something to help keep Zach safe, presumably. And we'll see how that goes.
When does Ty go home? I have a personal vendetta against him. Sorry.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. He's in a showmance, and it's like the showmance that I think is like they don't trust each other at all. Like he actively like doesn't tell Claudia anything. Claudia's like, I'm kind of done with this guy. I don't like the way he talks to me. I don't know if this sounds familiar at all.
It sounds like a mix of two showmances.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, for as much as Ty is in trouble now, I did see him as a player. A lot of people, they released. So one good thing they did that we actually liked is that they released sort of like OTT did back in the day. They released like a little clip online of some diary room sessions where they got asked like 4 questions each, which was cool. And in those little clips, a lot of people mentioned they trusted Ty the most in the game, including Kuzi. And so I felt like, because nobody trusted Zach, but a lot of people trusted Ty. If Zach left, that kind of like, hopefully, that side of Ty can kind of die off with Zach, and he could probably, fit in a bit more. But given how he's sort of responded to Zach being up on the block, I don't know if that's possible for him anymore. I don't know if he has any social credibility left. That said, I have no idea because I'm not able to watch.
I don't know. Maybe Kuzi's karma will kick in for the season. Who knows?
Who knows? All right. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for your comment. This was such a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this. Again, I am a reality TV fan. I am a Big Brother fan. I want what is best for the franchise. I want to elevate my career and pursue other things, but I'm the type to never forget where I came from, and I will always be involved in the Big Brother conversation in some way. I just know it. So whenever I can come back and add my 2 cents or color the conversation a little bit, I'm more than happy to. And it's a delight talking to you always. That guy that recaps every episode that, we hear about sometimes.
Well, you're just so knowledgeable about this stuff in general. I remember all the way back to that, conversation you had with Monty like early on in the season. You talked about media and your desire to talk about it and stuff, and I was just like, I knew at that moment, I was like, someday I'm gonna have a really good conversation with Taylor about this kind of stuff. And I didn't think it would be about this, but
no, we started with the 8-hour conversation, 6-hour product.
Hopefully more to come.
And for those asking in the chat, yes, that has been me popping up and creeping. I know there's some questions on whether or not it was someone faking reading, but no, it was me.
Yeah, look, sometimes people pop up in the chat and they're not really the person. But sometimes they are. So there you go.
Well, thanks for Taran.
All right. Well, that's what we have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. We will, of course, be back tonight once we see what happens with, all of this nonsense on the episode. And then hopefully we get a drop tomorrow to sort of, see who wins the next HOH and what's happening and all of that. It's felt very much like Big Brother Canada 8. So, I think this is around the time Big Brother Canada 8 got canceled. So,
I just saw that clip for the first time.
did you?
I cried.
I've been looking because they're not releasing the company that releases TV ratings has stopped releasing them for Big Brother for Canadian television. And so like it's tough to see what this is doing to the ratings of the show, which is frustrating. But so because of that, like some people, myself included, have been trying to sort of dig into other ways that we can tell like how much engagement is down or up or whatever. And so I was looking at like online engagement for Big Brother Canada over the last few years, and the cancellation of Big Brother Canada 8 has like a massive spike. And because like a ton of people who weren't even familiar with the show, I think we're all just kind of it's just one of those. It's like in OTT when they told them the election results, like just one of those moments where it just like goes way beyond the show.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. For what it's worth, they've released. Some people have access to overnight numbers, which I don't think are like the full ratings. But for the premiere, I think it was something like 400,000 or 500,000, where the full ratings for last season were like over 1 million. So those, I don't think those are the full numbers. I think normally you'd get a little more over time, but like, not great.
Not ideal. I'm also curious because again, when I did my research, when I did my research to go on Big Brother US, I watched a few bbcan seasons. And the first season I watched, I believe it was 6. And is that when they opened up with saying, "Thanks for saving us, the fans. You did all the work. It's because of you that we're back."
Yeah.
So what happened? Where's that love? Where's that appreciation? Where's that acknowledgement of what these people who consume the show do for you? But it's not my problem. Canada, I guess if y'all don't come back next year, you can only blame yourselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we have. Again, I'll be live on Twitch in just a little bit. I'll be watching tonight's episode live. So tune in for that, because who knows what kind of reaction I'll have. And then we'll be live to talk about it after the fact. Kevin Jacobs, the bad boy himself, will be joining us to talk through it all.
I'm gonna text him right now. Hey, bad boy.
Yes.
I'll be like, "Hey, bad boy." I'll be like, "Hey, queen."
Oh man. So check that out. Again, hopefully we get something tomorrow, and we'll be back at our normal time at around 3 p.m. Eastern to talk through tomorrow's drop, hopefully. And I've got a Survivor stock watch coming up, so check that out. And I'm dropping some Among Us videos over on YouTube. Taylor, what have you got going on?
Ooh, I got some fun things percolating that I can't fully announce right now, but I will give you all a peek. You can follow me on Instagram at the Taylor Mack, Mack spelled M-A-C-K. Same handle on TikTok, where I barely post. I could be doing better. And very soon I will be launching a blog at thetaylormack.com. So I'll be talking fashion, fitness, lifestyle, travel, and of course I'll be talking pop culture, because that is 98% of my brain. I have nothing else otherwise.
Well, I think if this podcast and you in general are anything to speak for it, then it's going to be worth checking out, because again, you're full of knowledge and you always just have great takes. You need to give me a take that's not like spot on, Taylor, because it's just too like. What do you think? What is your most controversial take?
I think it is. I can give you my fake controversial take, and and I've said them both on the live feed, so I will stand behind it. My fake one is that pineapple can belong on pizza. I like a Hawaiian pizza. I think someone faked outrage over Hawaiian pizza and started the anti-pineapple crusade. But like the Brussels sprout, the pineapple on the pizza will have her day, okay? Because Brussels sprout got a real good PR team, so did cauliflower. My real controversial take, and I think I can get away with saying this, Taran, you look terrified. I think I can get away with this because, especially because of my experience over the summer. I think that we call harassment bullying. And the word bullying degrades or makes the actual experience sound juvenile. I wish that we called bullying harassment, so it cuts to the core of the pain and the long harm that can happen to the victim. So that's my controversial take. But
I think that's fair.
We're at a point where bullying does mean harassment in a sense. So, you know, I can't really that's not the hill I'm gonna die on.
They are saying in the chat I look terrified. I was trying to guess what you were gonna say because you said it on the live feeds. I thought maybe you'd go gender reveal parties.
Those aren't controversial. That's just facts. Those are terrible.
Because I was totally on board with you on that. I think I had a whole I think because we might have heard it on stream when I was streaming, and then I talked about it on stream. I was like, I'm totally with her on this.
Not great, yeah.
Anyway.
Genitals of your child. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you all again for joining us. Thank you so much, Taylor, for being here.
Anytime.
And I will see all of you very soon.
See ya.